Two students attempted to calculate the slope and length of AB with points A, -3, 7, and B, 4, -2. They each made an error for the slope and an error for the length. Identify the errors and then correctly calculate the slope and length. First of all, let's look at the slope. For Jasmine's solution, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is in fact the correct formula for the slope of a line segment. This step therefore is correct. In Jasmine's second step, -2 minus 7. This corresponds to y2 minus y1. However, if we're using -2 minus 7, then the -3 minus 4 actually corresponds to x1 minus x2. In this case, the x coordinates have been reversed. This is very important when figuring out slope, that we do not reverse the coordinates of the points. The way that the y coordinates are subtracted must be the same order that the x coordinates are subtracted. In this case, Jasmine's mistake was in her second step. For her third step, she simply plugged in -2 minus 7 to get -9. -3 minus 4 is in fact -7. This is correct. And finally, canceling out the negative signs for step 4, giving a slope of 9/7. For Anthony's solution, again, he used the correct formula for slope. For his second step, in this case, Anthony has put the change in x coordinates on the numerator and the change in y coordinates on the denominator. He's actually done this as x2 minus x1 over y2 minus y1. His mistake, therefore, is in this second step. His third step, no problem there. 4 minus -3 is 7. -2 minus 7 is -9. And then just rewriting it for step 4 with the negative out in front. The proper way to do this question, again, the same formula that both Jasmine and Anthony used. However, -2 minus 7, which is how Jasmine started it, this is y2 minus y1. For the denominator, again, we have to subtract the x coordinates in the same order we subtracted the y coordinates, giving us 4 minus -3. This gives a result of m equals -9/7. For the lengths of line segment AB, first of all, Jasmine's solution. Her first step, simply the formula for the distance between 2 points, or the distance formula. This is indeed the correct formula. We then have to substitute in the x values and the y values. This was done correctly, since the x1 corresponds to -3, x2 to 4, and the y1 is 7, and y2 is -2. For step 3, 4 minus -3 is in fact 7, and -2 minus 7 is in fact -9. This step also is correct. For Jasmine's fourth step, she has separated the 7 squared and the -9 squared into separate radicals. She has used this incorrect statement that the square root of a plus b is equal to the square root of a plus the square root of b. This is not true, of course, so this fourth step is where Jasmine has made her mistake. For the fifth step, she simply took the square root of 49, which is 7, and the square root of 81, which is 9, adding them together to get 16. This step is correct. On to Anthony's solution for the length of the line segment. His first step is the same as Jasmine's, simply the distance formula. For Anthony's second step, note that he has reversed some of the x and y coordinates. he is actually written down here y1 minus x1 all squared, and then y2 minus x2 all squared. Note that we have to use y2 minus y1 all squared and x2 minus x1 all squared, keeping the x's together and the y's together. Therefore, Anthony went wrong in this second step. For his third step, 7 minus negative 3 is in fact 10, and negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. This step therefore is correct. For his fourth step, 10 squared is 100, and negative 6 squared is 36. 100 plus 36 does in fact give 136. And the final step for Anthony, simply taking the whole radical and writing it as a mixed radical. This step was done correctly since 136 is equal to 4 times 34. Now, to find the distance correctly, just as the others did, we have to use the distance formula. Just as was done by Jasmine, we take x2 minus x1 all squared, which is 4 minus negative 3 squared, and y2 minus y1 squared, which is negative 2 minus 7 all squared. This is then equal to the square root of 7 squared plus negative 9 squared. Here's where Jasmine went wrong. We have to keep the 49 and the 81 inside one radical and then add them. This gives us a result of the square root of 130, which is our final answer.